our team, Mr. Greg Chen,
Okay, well, welcome everyone to Winterfest. Very excited to have everyone. Great crowd. We did get a little winter weather today, but thank you guys for braving it. Very exciting. Paul, thank you for that introduction, and also for hosting today's kickoff at Pender Center. As a cultural hub of our community, I can think of no better place to kick off my campaign. I think this place truly embodies the inclusivity and inclusive spirit of this campaign, and it's a place that really brings together all kinds of backgrounds. And that's what we're going to be needing as we work to bring equity and a stronger community to Fairfax County. So again, thank you, Paul. Speaking of a stronger community, I do want to call up our current elected officials who are also running for re-election now, who are going to join me up here. As you know, every year in Virginia is an election year. This year is, I would argue, the most important election year, and that's not just because I'm running, but because it's the year when we elect our local officials. And these are the people that have the biggest impact on our daily life in Fairfax County and throughout the Commonwealth. So it's critical that these guys have your support. I will call them up in no special order, but from the school board, we have at-large member Il-Young Moon, my at-large colleague. From the Lee District, we have Tammy Kofax. From Mason District, we have Sandy Evans. From Hunter Mill, we have Pat Hines. From Grainsville, we have Jeannie Strauss. Another elected board we have in Fairfax County is the Soil and Water Conservation District. They deal with all sorts of environmental issues in our community. I know we have one director from that community, Elaine Tolan, if Elaine can come up. And then we have a whole host of candidates running for re-election. So I'm going to try and running for election for the first time. So I'm going to try and not miss these folks. But let's start out from the Providence District, where there's a competitive primary for supervisor. We have Phil Nadelski-Eichner. Phil, if you want to come up. Also from Providence, we have Edith Kelleher. Come on up. Do we have anyone else from Providence running for supervisor? Okay. Running for school board in Providence, we have Jung Bian. You want to come up, John? From the Drainsville District running for supervisor, we have Alicia Fabui. Oh, sorry, school board. Alicia is running for school board. Let's see. From the Lee District running for supervisor, we have Larissa Katz. Larissa, if you want to come on up. From running for school board at large, we have Abrar Anish. Yeah. Scanning the crowd. From Springfield, we have a competitive race for school board there. We have Robert Walter running for school board. Yes. Okay. Well. Oh, sorry. From the Hunter Mill District running for supervisor, we have Shelly Hall. Come on in. We also have the supervisor, we have Kelly Hebron. Quite a whole host of candidates. Thank you guys so much for coming. So, the reason I bring these guys up here, and it's quite a spread, is because these are the people that really affect your life at the local level. And it's so critical that they have your support, whether they win or lose in this election this year. It's going to be a massive campaign effort throughout the county. And just having these folks step up to run for office is a wonderful thing to have such qualified people in Fairfax County. Now, most importantly, I want to recognize my family members who are here. We have my wife, Shran. She's probably hiding somewhere. There she is. Okay. Those of you who don't know Shran, she's a teacher, and I know a lot of her colleagues are here from Sidwell, so it's good to see you guys. I have my dad, who is a My dad has actually been in the classroom since 1960, and he is still in the classroom at Kilmer Middle School. And so he's one of our master teachers in Fairfax. And my mom is here as well, Mary. She is a wine expert, so if you ever need wine advice, please go to her. You can funnel it for me, but I don't drink, so that's not much fun at home. So anyway. And then my daughter, Sierra, is not here because it is actually nap time, so I apologize. I didn't arrange that way, but anyway, she will be at future events, I promise. So many of you here today actually have probably never heard my story, so I want to start out, just telling you a little bit about myself. I was born in the Tysons Corner area of Fairfax County, born and raised, and I went to Marshall High School. I know we have some Marshall kids here. Raise your hand for Marshall. From Marshall, young guns from Marshall, good to see you guys. But that was really when I got my start in advocacy, and it all grew from there. And some of you might be wondering why I have this really handsome, beautiful, bald head. But it was actually my senior year in high school that I lost all of my hair to alopecia universalis, which is an immune system condition. And I would tell you that that was a very emotional and trying time for me. I actually ended up getting a wig and went through some of my college years with that wig. But it was during college that I decided that I needed to shed that wig and just love myself for who I am. And so it was at that point when I knew I wanted to stand up for others who wanted to tear other people down. And so that's what I've committed my public service and public life to. And the reason I tell you that story is because a few weeks ago I got an email from a mother who had contacted me saying that she had heard my story in one of the graduation speeches that I had given back in 2014. And her son was graduating. And at that time, her son had depression, and she didn't know about it. But my speech inspired her son to come forward to his parents, about that condition, and they were able to get him help. And I'm happy to say that he's graduating from college later this year. I want to share another story with you. For those of you who might have heard about our efforts on the dress code, this one was particularly meaningful. It came to me last summer. We had a student who had gone off to governor's school. In Virginia we have these governor's schools during the summer where students can go and get enrichment. And the first day she was at governor's school, the director of her program came up to her and said, "Your shorts are far too short," and she shamed this girl in public. And so that girl, armed with the Fairfax County Public Schools dress code, which we had just changed to stop being sexist against women, she gave that dress code to her director, and her director came to her the next day and she said, "You know what, upon reflection, you're right. I shouldn't have shamed you in that way, and we're going to change our governor's school dress code based on the Fairfax County Public Schools dress code." And the third story I want to share with you today comes from last year when one day I had all these representatives from school board associations around the country. Every state has a school board association. I was getting all these calls, and it was the day after our school board passed a resolution that I had drafted on gun violence prevention. And these directors were asking me if they could put it on their websites as a model, as a national model for other school boards around the nation to call on legislators to act on the critical issue of gun violence prevention. And I'm happy to say that our resolution went up as a model around the country on that issue, and that's just one of the many ways that our board has impacted the national debate over the past several years. Now, I share these three stories today just as a sampling about the kind of work we do on the school board and the impact it can have on humanity and on the human condition and on how our work as public servants really works to affect the lives of other people. We often don't hear about these stories, and my colleagues haven't heard about some of those stories as well. But at the grassroots level, that's where we can truly make impact. And the past 8 years on the school board, I've been so proud of the work we've done. As I look at my colleagues and reflect on this, it's truly empowering. And the first thing I would recognize that we have done on the school board is bring our teacher salaries up to competitive market levels. That has been an incredible investment. And just looking at my colleagues, so looking at Mr. Moon, I've been proud to partner with Mr. Moon on issues like curriculum internationalization, bringing that international perspective into our classrooms, working on things like study abroad programs, bringing kids to Fairfax County Public Schools that otherwise would never experience a U.S. educational system. That's been a truly powerful thing. I look at my colleague from the district, Tammy, and all the work that she has done and led the board on things like pre-kindergarten, and that's something we need to continue to work on. I look at Janie Strauss, who has led the charge on supporting things like the arts and ensuring that in difficult budget times we don't lose sight of those important parts of our curriculum. I look at Pat Hines, who has led the charge on our board on things like environmental sustainability and making sure that our schools are eco-friendly, getting solar on the schools, and we've made so much progress even just this week on that issue. And I look at Sandy Evans and think about all the work she did to get us later high school start times. The work is not done. We still have many schools to go, but I'm sure the next board will continue working on that issue. And I look at Dolly Palchik, who has just arrived, and think about all the work, that, all the perspectives Dolly has brought to the board as well. And so, it's just so empowering to look at our colleagues and think back on all that work. And in addition to these issues, I have led the board on other issues of importance to our community as well. First and foremost, it's been fresher and healthier food for our students. And I see Mary Pope from Real Food for Kids. I remember the days when we were in the back rooms trying to get a pilot kitchen at Marshall High School, the Statesman Station back in 2013, and how that concept has grown, and we now have salad bars, and we're getting salad bars in all of our schools around the district. I've led the board on issues of inclusion, especially for our LGBTQ students. And that's been that's another area where I've just heard so much back from students feeling that they feel accepted in our community and they feel much better to come to school knowing that they have that support on the school board. I've led the board on issues of sexual misconduct prevention, on issues of the dress code reform, on human trafficking prevention. I've led on gun violence and school safety. I've led on improving community engagement and legislative advocacy at the state and federal level. And those are just some of the many myriad issues that we have worked together as a school board on over the past 8 years. And we've accomplished this despite chronic underfunding of our public schools. I think back the year that Ms. Darnett Koufax was chair of the board, we had to cut $500 million from our budget. Those cuts impacted student programs, they led to student fees, and now we're looking in our county at leaders who want to aspire to positions of more power that were behind those cuts to the school system. And I could not stand on the sidelines while that happened. All of us in Fairfax County know that Fairfax County is a great place to live, but it's not working for everyone. Because of past decisions, there's been a rise in the divide between the haves and have-nots. And this has led in Fairfax County to essentially 2 Fairfaxes. I'm running for chairman to bridge these divides, to ensure that no matter where you go to school, no matter what zip code you live in, you will have the same opportunity to succeed and achieve the American dream. I'm running on a platform of education, innovation, and opportunity for all. So on that first issue of education, I want to make sure that we have the best education system in the United States. And we need to lead the nation in ensuring that all of our students have opportunity to have pre-kindergarten education, because we know down the road that pays extreme dividends for our county, and over time it saves money for our district. And we know that our students need to be ready to join the global workforce. On the issue of innovation, we need to lead the nation in both the public and private sectors in terms of innovation. And it starts with ensuring that all of our residents in Fairfax County have access to internet. And when we look at our infrastructure, as we plan for the future, we need to ensure that we have infrastructure that supports things like environmental sustainability, electric cars, autonomous vehicles, and make sure that our buildings are environmentally sustainable. Many of you may have seen that earlier this week that I endorsed the New Green Deal Virginia. That is an important plan to bring our state in line with environmental standards. And at the Fairfax County public level, I've committed to the goal of ensuring that we are at the point of 40% renewables by 2030 and 100% renewables by 2050. We know that the future of our planet and the future generations of Fairfax County depend on that kind of plan. And finally, in the area of opportunity, we need to ensure that all of our community members do have that opportunity to reach the American dream. We must leverage the arrival of tech firms like Amazon, ensure that all of our residents have opportunity to work for firms like that. At the education level, ensure that we're training all of our students to have those kind of high-tech jobs. And most importantly, to ensure that we have affordable housing so that as these new firms come into the class, as the middle class are not priced out of the market, and particularly for our community members in need, we need to ensure that they also have a place to live and call home. And as I look around this room, I'm very humbled and proud of this turnout on this wintry day. It's very clear to me that the people of Fairfax County are eager and yearning for new progressive leadership in our county. Together, I hope that everyone in this room and around the county will join with me in writing the next chapter of our Fairfax County story, which calls for education, innovation, and opportunity for all. This is not going to be an easy campaign, and I'm going to need the support of everyone in this room and even folks outside of this room. I'm going to need you to give me your financial support. I'm going to need you to give me your volunteer support. And most importantly, we need to make sure that we register as many of our 18-year-olds to vote as possible. So ensure that our next generation of leaders has a voice at the polls. When you leave here today, I encourage you to tell 5 of your closest friends about the excitement behind this campaign and what we stand for and what we hope to bring to Fairfax County. You can tell them to visit our website at McElveenforchairman.com. Follow me on social media. I am there for more than just the snow days. But you can look at our website. We will be selling the swag that you see over at our store over there with my head on shirts and on shovels and all sorts of things. So it's a very exciting thing. And again, I want to thank our sponsors here today who really contributed so much to this. At Pender Center at Kung Fu Tea. If you haven't gotten your tea ticket, be sure you do before you leave. Get some tea. I want to thank Denny on the food. I want to thank Yan and Jason at the bubble tea station. I want to thank Lily at the craft station. I want to thank Paul and all the Pender Center team for their work on the sound system and everything else to make this successful. I hope all of you drive home safely today, and I want all of you to be there with me over the next 5 months as we work toward victory on June 11th. We'll win this together. Thank you. And now, if the electeds will, if we can have any photographers.